starseeds and lightworkers, something is aligning for you right now. And even if you cannot fully see it yet, some part of you already feels it, a quiet certainty beneath all the uncertainty, a stillness beneath the noise, like the ocean floor, unmoved by the storms that churn the surface. I am Tyron, a representative of the High Council of Sirius, and I want you to hear this clearly. The pieces you have been waiting on are not lost. They are moving, slowly, precisely, like a tide that cannot be rushed, but always arrives exactly when it must. By the end of this message, you will understand why this season of waiting has not been wasted, and why everything that felt scattered is actually part of a convergence that was always meant for you. There comes a point in every starseed's journey where the path goes quiet, not because you have been forgotten, not because you moved in the wrong direction, but because something so significant is being prepared for you that the space before it must be wide enough to hold it. You are in that space right now. The stillness you have been sitting in is not absence. It is preparation. The Sirian codes you carry have always known this moment was coming. Even when you doubted, even when the fog felt too thick to see through, even when you wondered whether any of it was real. Beneath all of that, like water finding its level, something in you kept returning to faith. That is not small. That is everything. You did not arrive here by accident. Something in your soul recognized this signal and followed it home. Stay with me. What comes next is meant for exactly where you are right now, and I am grateful you are here with me now. That feeling you've been carrying, the one that doesn't quite have a name, isn't confusion, it's convergence. Everything you've moved through, every door that closed before you could walk through it, every moment you sat in the dark wondering if you had somehow missed your moment, none of it was random. None of it was punishment. It was preparation. And the preparation is complete. Not just mostly complete, not nearly there. Complete. The way a seed is complete when it finally splits open and sends its first tender root down into the soil. The splitting doesn't look like completion from the outside. It looks like breaking. But underground, in the dark, in the silence that no one else can see, something sacred has already happened. Something irreversible. You have already crossed a threshold that cannot be uncrossed, and the world you are stepping into is not the one you were taught to expect. It is wider. It is older. It is yours in a way that nothing in this life has ever fully felt like yours before. The feeling that has no name is the feeling of arriving, of recognizing, of your soul exhaling after a very, very long time of holding its breath. There's a reason water has always felt like home to you. If what you're feeling right now is confirming something you've carried your whole life, the Sirian Water Codes is your next step. It holds ancient Sirian healing practices passed down through the waters themselves, techniques for releasing energy that was never yours, activating dormant memory through the sound of rain, and sealing your frequency with salt and intention. You'll find the link in the first pinned comment, but only briefly. Most starseeds don't feel lost because they lack purpose. It's the opposite. Deep inside, your soul carries a knowing so vast that this world sometimes feels too small to hold it. That ache you feel isn't emptiness, it's overflow. It's the pressure of carrying something immense in a world that doesn't yet have the language for what you are. You weren't designed to fit neatly into the structures you were handed. You were designed to outgrow them. And that outgrowing, as beautiful as it is, can feel like dissolution before it feels like expansion. It can feel like losing yourself before it feels like finding yourself. That's not failure. That's the process. Think about what it means to carry starlight inside a body built for gravity. Think about what it costs to hold a frequency that vibrates at a rate this world hasn't fully learned to recognize. There is a particular kind of exhaustion that doesn't come from working too hard or sleeping too little. It comes from being profoundly, essentially mismatched with your environment. From walking through spaces where the air is too dense, and the conversations are too shallow, and the pace is too fast in all the wrong ways, and too slow in all the ways that matter. You have probably spent most of your life quietly wondering why everything that feels natural to you seems to require translation for everyone else. Why you feel things so deeply that it sometimes physically hurts. Why you can sense the invisible architecture of a room the moment you enter it, the unspoken tensions, the grief behind the smile, the hope hiding beneath the resignation. That sensitivity is not a flaw in your wiring. It is your wiring. It is the very instrument through which your mission moves. The world handed you structures, educational, social, professional, relational, and you genuinely tried to inhabit them, to make them work, to convince yourself that perhaps the discomfort would ease, that perhaps you simply needed to adjust, to try harder, to want less. But wanting less was never the answer for a soul like yours. Wanting less is not spiritual discipline for a starseed, it's self-erasure. It's the river trying to convince itself to stop flowing. The ache you felt in those structures wasn't inadequacy, it was intelligence. Your soul, recognizing, at a frequency below the level of conscious thought, that you were not built for containment. You were built for current, for movement, for the kind of life that doesn't fit on a blueprint, because it was never meant to be mapped in advance. It was meant to be lived, discovered, revealed one sacred turn of the river at a time. The disconnection you've been feeling is actually the clearest sign that your codes are ready to come online. Something encoded long before the temples of Egypt rose from the sand has been quietly held inside you, waiting not for the right circumstances, but for the right frequency. And that frequency is building now. The waters within you are beginning to clear. Let that land for a moment. Before the first stone of those ancient temples was laid, before the priests of the Nile understood the geometry of the stars above them, before the first inscription was carved into sacred walls, your blueprint was already written, not in a language spoken by any tongue alive today, written in frequency, in resonance, in the vibrational signature of your soul that has been carried across lifetimes, like a song passed from one generation to the next, in a language only the heart remembers. And that song is beginning, slowly, unmistakably, to grow louder inside you. You can feel it. It's the reason you're here. It's the reason this message doesn't just sound familiar, it feels familiar. As if someone is not telling you something new, but reminding you of something you once knew completely and agreed, for reasons of your own sacred choosing, to temporarily release into the waters of forgetting. That forgetting was not an accident. It was not a curse. It was an act of extraordinary spiritual courage. You chose to come in without the full memory, so that your awakening would be genuine, earned through experience, tempered by uncertainty, deepened by the very doubt that makes rediscovery so powerful. A soul that remembers everything from the beginning never has to choose remembrance. And there is something about choosing, about turning toward the light when the darkness was real, about reaching upward when you had every reason to stay down, that creates a quality of knowing no short journey can produce. You know things now that you could not have known without the forgetting. You carry a depth of compassion, a breadth of understanding, a quality of hard-won wisdom that lives in your bones. That was always the intention, and you are proof that the intention was correct. Things have felt unclear lately, like you're trying to see through deep water. That fog isn't a sign that something is wrong with you. It's what happens when old patterns begin to dissolve. The water has to get murky before it clears. The sediment has to be disturbed before it can settle and reveal what was always resting beneath it. You're not lost, you're in transition. And that takes tremendous courage, even when it doesn't feel like it, especially when it doesn't feel like it. When ancient rivers shift course, and they do, over centuries, over millennia, the landscape around them changes in ways that can look, at first, like devastation. Banks that were solid become soft. Ground that felt reliable becomes uncertain. The familiar markers by which you once navigated disappear, and for a time, you must travel by instinct rather than by known landmarks. This is precisely what it feels like when a soul begins its deepest transition. The markers you use to navigate your inner life, the old frameworks, the inherited beliefs, the constructs that once gave you a sense of identity and direction, begin to feel unreliable, fluid, like trying to stand on a sandbar that is slowly, gently, irresistibly shifting beneath your feet. It is disorienting. It is sometimes frightening. And it is also one of the most sacred processes a human soul can move through. Because what is shifting is not your foundation. What is shifting is the overlay, the accumulated weight of everything that was never truly you. And what will remain when the water clears is something far more solid than anything that came before it, because it will be real, genuinely, essentially, undeniably real. The murkiness you're moving through is not evidence of deterioration. It is evidence of release. Every old belief that no longer serves you, every wound that is finally moving through rather than being held in place, every version of yourself that you tried to be in order to be accepted or safe or understood, all of it is loosening. All of it is being drawn upward into the current and carried away. And yes, when the sediment rises, the water looks darker for a time. That's physics, that's truth. But just beneath that disturbance, just on the other side of this particular threshold, the water is running cleaner than it has in years. Perhaps than it ever has in this lifetime. There's something encoded inside you that goes far deeper than anything you were taught in this life. The Sirian wisdom teachings tell us that every starseed carries a blueprint, a set of instructions written in frequency, not in words. You're not broken and searching for answers. You're whole and beginning to remember. And that remembering often starts as a quiet feeling that you can't quite explain, a pull towards something you've never seen but somehow recognize. A longing for a home that doesn't appear on any map. A familiarity with things you've never been taught. That's not imagination. That's memory. Ancient, encoded, patient memory waiting for exactly this moment to surface. There is a particular quality to this kind of memory that sets it apart from anything the rational mind produces. It doesn't arrive as information. It arrives as recognition. It feels less like learning something new and more like turning a corner and finding yourself standing in a room you have stood in before. Though you cannot say when, cannot say in what form, cannot say in what life. The feeling in your chest when certain music plays. The inexplicable peace that comes over you when you stand near large bodies of water. The knowing immediate, bone-deep, wordless that there is more to existence than the narrow corridor of consensus reality allows for. These are not fantasies. They are dispatches from a self that existed long before this body, long before this name, long before this lifetime's particular configuration of circumstances. Your soul has been sending you these dispatches your entire life, and you have been receiving them, even when you didn't know that was what was happening. Every moment of inexplicable longing, every dream that felt more real than waking, every time you looked at the night sky and felt something move in you that your vocabulary couldn't contain, that was always the blueprint, broadcasting, patiently, faithfully, waiting for you to develop the inner antenna to receive it clearly. The Sirian blueprint is not something that can be fully contained in words, and yet the wisdom that flows from those ancient stellar waters has always found ways to make itself known through symbols, through dreams, through the resonance of certain sounds and the pull of certain landscapes. There is a reason the priests of the ancient world built their most sacred temples near water. There is a reason that every culture across every continent has its creation stories rooted in the deep. Water holds memory in a way that nothing else in the physical world can match. It carries information at a level of subtlety that transcends our ordinary senses, and it has been doing so since before there was anyone to observe it. The codes you carry are water codes. They move, they adapt, they find every available channel, and they cannot ultimately be blocked. They can only be delayed, and the delay is ending. This is where many souls begin to panic, because nothing seems to be moving. The outer world hasn't changed. The circumstances feel the same, and there's a voice inside that wonders if something has gone wrong, if the shift was imagined, if it will ever truly arrive. But the stillness is not stalling, it's anchoring, like a river that pauses in a wide, calm pool before it finds the next passage through the mountains. Your soul is stabilizing what it has already received before it can hold what's coming next. The depth of what is being built inside you requires a foundation, and foundations are laid in silence. Be gentle with yourself here. This phase is sacred. The most powerful transformations in nature are invisible until suddenly they are undeniable. You do not watch a redwood grow. You do not see the tectonic plates shift. You do not observe the moment winter becomes spring. You simply walk outside one morning and the air has changed, and the birds know something that yesterday they did not seem to know. And somewhere beneath the frozen ground, 1 billion seeds have quietly, without announcement or fanfare, already begun. This is what is happening inside you right now. The growth is occurring at a level of depth that the ordinary senses cannot perceive, but it is occurring. It is real. And the fact that you cannot see it does not diminish it. It simply reflects the nature of the phase you are in. The roots go down before the branches go up. Always, without exception. There is tremendous wisdom in learning to trust the phases that offer no visible evidence. It is easy to have faith when things are moving, when results are visible, when the external world is confirming the internal work. The real spiritual maturity, the kind that cannot be performed or pretended, comes from maintaining your alignment when nothing appears to be happening. From choosing to trust the river even when you're standing in the still pool, unable to see the channel that waits just around the bend. That trust is not passivity. It is one of the most active, most demanding, most powerful forms of spiritual engagement available to a human soul. And you are practicing it right now. In every moment that you stay open instead of closing down. In every moment that you choose to remain present to the uncertainty rather than filling it with distraction, you are doing the work. Even in the stillness. Especially in the stillness. You may not see it yet, but people around you are already responding to the shift within you. Maybe relationships have changed. Maybe certain places or conversations feel different, heavier, or lighter than before. Maybe you've found yourself unable to return to things that once felt comfortable, unable to pretend that certain energies belong in your life. That's not coincidence. When one current changes direction, everything downstream is affected. You don't need to announce your transformation. You are already transmitting it. And those who are meant to resonate with your frequency will find you the way water always finds the path that was made for it. There is something that happens in the field around a person who is genuinely awakening that cannot be faked and cannot be hidden. It precedes any words they speak. It outlasts any performance they might attempt. It moves through a room before they do and lingers after they've gone. Some people will feel it as warmth. Some will feel it as a kind of gentle pressure, as if standing near you suddenly makes their own truths harder to avoid. Some will be inexplicably drawn closer, and some those whose entire sense of self depends on the structures your frequency is quietly dissolving will inexplicably pull away. Do not mourn those departures. They are evidence of your field doing exactly what it is meant to do. Not everyone is equipped to stand near a soul in full activation. That is not a judgment of them. It is simply a recognition of where they are on their own particular journey. And your job is not to manage their response to your truth. Your job is simply to keep being it. The new connections that are forming, or are about to form, carry a quality that you may not have encountered before in this lifetime, because they are soul-level recognitions rather than personality-level attractions. When you meet another soul who operates at your frequency, something in you will know immediately. Not with excitement, necessarily, though excitement is sometimes there. More often, it feels like relief, like exhaling, like sitting down after a very long time of standing. There is no need to explain yourself. There is no need to shrink or expand or perform. There is only the clean, simple recognition of one current meeting another and finding that they are made of the same water. Watch for those meetings. They are coming, and they will change everything. This is the phase that often feels the hardest, because it asks you to let go of things you've been carrying so long they feel like part of you. Beliefs about who you should be, expectations that were placed on you by a world that didn't understand what you are, emotional weight that belonged to others but settled into your field because you were sensitive enough to absorb it. You have permission to set it down, all of it. The river doesn't carry every stone it passes. It lets them sink to the bottom and keeps flowing. You were never meant to carry all of that. You were meant to move. Let's be very specific about what it is you're being invited to release, because the word release can sometimes feel abstract in a way that makes it difficult to actually do. What we are speaking of is not just the grand emotional wounds, though those are certainly part of it. We are also speaking of the smaller, quieter accumulations, the habitual self-diminishment, the reflexive apology for taking up space, the way you scan every room for who might need what before you have even considered what you need, the belief, held so deeply it barely registers as a belief anymore, that your worth is contingent on your usefulness. The sense that your sensitivity is a burden to others rather than a gift to the world. The exhaustion of being the person who always holds the emotional weight in every room, every relationship, every family gathering, not because you chose it consciously, but because you were the one who could. And somehow, that became the same as being the one who should. You were never meant to be the container for everyone else's unprocessed experience. You were never meant to make yourself smaller so that others could feel more comfortable in their own largeness. You are not responsible for managing the emotional landscape of every person in your orbit. That was never your assignment. And setting it down is not abandonment. It is the most honest and courageous form of self-respect available to you. There is a Sirian understanding of energy that the ancient water keepers held very carefully, the understanding that the most loving thing a healer can do is refuse to carry what belongs to someone else's healing. When you absorb another person's pain without their awareness or consent, you are not helping them heal it. You are simply relocating it from their field into yours, and in doing so, you deny them the very growth that the discomfort was trying to catalyze. True compassion holds space. It does not take the weight. Let the stones sink. Let the current do what currents do. You were meant to flow, not to hold. You are not late. You are not behind. The delays, the detours, the years of not understanding what you were feeling, none of it was wasted. There is no such thing as a late awakening. There is only the perfect moment, and yours is unfolding right now. The tide doesn't rush, but it always arrives. Always. And it arrives carrying exactly what it was always meant to bring to shore. Consider the nature of tides for a moment, not as metaphor, but as living system. The tide does not doubt its timing. It does not look at the shore and think, I should have arrived sooner. I have been somewhere else for too long. The tide is in perfect relationship with forces so vast and so precisely calibrated that its arrival is never, ever a mistake. The moon calls, the water answers, every time, without fail, without apology, without the need for the shore to understand the mechanics of why this particular wave arrives at this particular moment, carrying this particular energy. It simply does. And the shore is transformed by it, not because the wave was aggressive, not because it arrived with explanations or justifications, but simply because it arrived fully, completely, as itself. That is you. That is this moment. The moon has called, and you are arriving. Every year you spent not yet fully awake was not a year of falling behind. It was a year of deepening the vessel that would eventually hold the remembrance. Think of what you have gathered in those years. The textures of human experience, the intimacy with suffering, the knowledge of what it is to reach for something beautiful in the middle of darkness, the capacity for nuance and complexity that only comes from having genuinely lived. None of that is wasted material. All of it is the very substance from which your most authentic contribution will be made. The greatest teachers are never those who bypassed the hard terrain. They are the ones who walked through it, who learned its particular grammar, who can now look at another soul standing in the middle of it and say, not from theory, but from lived truth, I know this place, and I know the way through. Your mission was never about doing something extraordinary by the world's standards. It was about being present fully, authentically present, in a way that only a soul with your specific codes can be. The ancient ones who built sacred structures by the Nile understood this. The most powerful act is not the grand gesture. It is the quiet alignment of a soul with its true frequency. The most world-altering thing you can do is simply be what you actually are, not a performance of it, not a carefully managed version of it, but the full, unguarded, unashamed truth of it. You don't need to figure out your entire mission today. You just need to be here, fully here. This is perhaps the most radical and the most difficult invitation in all of spiritual awakening radical, because it contradicts everything a performance-based culture has taught you about how change happens, and difficult because the full, unguarded truth of yourself is the thing you have most carefully protected from the world. You have worn many versions. You have been the responsible one and the strong one, and the one who always figures it out. You have been careful with your mystery, strategic with your depth, measured with your vulnerability. And beneath all of those carefully maintained surfaces, the truest version of you has been quietly, patiently waiting. Not impatiently, not with resentment for the waiting, just with that deep, still, faithful quality of water that knows it will eventually find its level. You cannot rush the river, but you can stop damming it. The ancient builders along the Nile were not merely architects. They were frequency keepers. They understood in a way that our modern world is only beginning to rediscover, that certain alignments of stone and star and water could create fields of resonance that sustained entire civilizations across centuries. They did not build in haste. They did not build for spectacle. They built in alignment with forces they could feel but not fully see, trusting that the invisible architecture was more important than the visible one. You are being called to the same kind of building now, not in stone, in being, in the slow, deliberate, reverent construction of a life that is genuinely aligned with what you are, stone by stone, breath by breath, choice by choice. And the structure that emerges from that kind of building will be something that outlasts every trend, survives every season, and serves not just your own life, but every soul that enters the field you are creating simply by being fully yourself. And here is what it all comes down to, the thing the whole journey has been moving towards saying to you. You're not lost. You never were. You chose to forget, not because you were weak, but because the kind of awakening you're here to experience required you to find your way back from the deepest depth, like a pearl that can only form under pressure, in darkness, at the bottom of the ocean. What you are becoming could only be shaped by exactly what you've been through. Every moment of confusion was the water working on you, smoothing away what didn't belong, revealing what was always there underneath. The loneliness was real. The hardship was real. And it was also the tide reshaping a shore that is now ready to receive something extraordinary. There is a particular beauty in a pearl that comes from understanding how it forms. An irritant enters something that doesn't belong, something that causes friction, something that the living creature inside that shell cannot remove or ignore. And rather than being destroyed by it, rather than simply tolerating it, the creature does something astonishing. It coats the irritant in layer after layer of something luminous, something that transforms the source of pain into the origin of beauty. The pearl doesn't happen in spite of the friction. It happens because of it. And it takes time. Layers upon layers of patient, faithful transformation. This is what your life has been doing. Every difficult relationship, every shattered expectation, every night of wondering if you would ever feel like you belonged somewhere, every experience that made you feel like too much or not enough, every single one of those was the creature inside the shell doing what it is designed by a wisdom older than time to do, building something extraordinary from the very thing that was meant to wound it. You are the pearl. You have always been the pearl, and you are finished forming. The loneliness that marked certain chapters of your life deserves to be honored here, because it was real, and it was not small. There is a loneliness particular to souls who carry frequencies their environment cannot yet read, a loneliness that cannot be solved by company, that persists even in rooms full of people, that stems not from isolation, but from a deep, pervasive sense of fundamental difference, of existing just slightly outside the wavelength where everyone else seems to receive and transmit with such apparent ease. That loneliness was not a defect. It was the cost of being early, of arriving in a world that had not yet developed the instruments to hear you. But the instruments are being built. The frequency is shifting. The world is, slowly and undeniably, learning to hear. And the loneliness that once felt like exile is becoming something else entirely. The very source of your authority, the reason your voice carries the weight it carries, the proof that you earned every word you now have to speak. You are not here to fit into this world. You're here to gently, quietly, powerfully remind it of something it forgot, not through force, not through urgency, but through the simple, undeniable presence of a soul that has remembered what it came here to be. And the fact that you're still here, in this moment that you stayed, that tells everything about where you are. You're ready. Not because everything is perfect, not because the path ahead is clear, but because you're still here, still reaching, still open. And that, dear one, is the most powerful thing a starseed can do. Staying is the thing that cannot be faked. Keeping your heart open through seasons that would have justified closing it, that is the evidence the universe receives as readiness. Not the completion of any program, not the achievement of any external milestone, not the resolution of every wound or the answering of every question. Simply this: you chose to stay open. You chose to remain reachable. You chose, in spite of every reasonable argument to the contrary, to keep reaching towards something you could feel but not yet see. That choice, made again and again in the quiet moments no one witnessed, is the most sacred thing about you. It is the current that has carried you here, and it will be the current that carries you forward. What is coming for you is not something that needs to be chased or forced or manufactured. It is already in motion. It was set in motion long before this lifetime, and the momentum it carries is older and more patient and more purposeful than anything your rational mind can fully grasp. Your work now is not to push. Your work is to align, to clear, to choose. Each morning, to be as genuinely yourself as you are capable of being on that particular day, to release what wants to leave, to make space for what is trying to arrive, and to trust with the steady, unshakable trust of water that has always known which way is down, that what is coming is worth the wait, worth all of it, every single breath of it. Tonight, if it feels right, place your hand over your heart and say quietly, I remember who I am. I trust the waters that carried me here. I am ready to flow into what comes next. Before you go, leave one word in the comments, just one that describes what you felt during this message. Then, find someone else's word and respond with encouragement. This isn't just a comment section. It's a space where starseeds recognize each other, and that recognition carries more power than you know. If something in this message touched you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you'd like to keep receiving these transmissions, subscribe. The waters of Sirius will carry us to the next one. You're not just watching, you're remembering. This is your space, and I'm grateful you were here.